Black people fight one another at such an enormous rate each and every day. But white supremacy is at war with us. What are we doing about it?
We're helping them by killing each other.
Careful who you talk to, because you'll never know who the informant is, who the cooperating witness may be, and you never know somebody who was a friend today may have been flipped the night before and become your enemy tomorrow.
About humanity, putting truth in these lines, while they busy feeding lies. When you got that tunnel vision, gotta open up your eyes. Wake up and go to sleep. Man, I'm praying all times. And to my guys, ain't no other side. This for my brothers, I'ma pray with y'all shine. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Yeah, you already know.
Depending on the lessons, some people eat, some people learn. But the game is going to send you big.
Professor Melly Mel, the Dahoodpostman. Who am I here with today?
The one and only me, Mr. Malik Spellman, representative of the poor.
Me encompass a lot of different things, man. Can you be a little more specific about the me?
Me, as in collectively speaking, a group of integrated parts causing a common purpose of performing the operations called for and the program being executed, which is peace and unity amongst black people and all humanity.
Perfect. Let's get right into it, Malik. I'm not going to waste any time, man. Black people fight one another at such an enormous rate each and every day. But white supremacy is at war with us. What are we doing about it?
We're helping them by killing each other, for starts. We're helping them by not having no unity. We're helping them by not creating generational wealth. And then we're helping them by not creating a future for our children in terms of stability and the economics that they're going to need in order to facilitate a great life.
For some reason, there's a multitude of people walking around in the dark. And what I mean by the dark, that means their light bulb is either blown out or the switch to cut on the light is inoperable. How do we get the light to come on? How do we get them to understand the bigger picture? Because the United States is a war council. Rome was a war council. Germany, 40s, Hitler was a war council. Greece was a war council. How do we get them to understand the bigger picture that where we're living is not necessarily conducive to the edification or the growth of the black man?
Well, first of all, you lead by example. What I mean by that is when you find, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when you find a dirty glass, you put a clean one beside it to give the people options. The concept of getting our people to have the light come on in their head is relatively easy. because we are that current, electricity current that's needed to power anything that's going to take us to the next level. The way that we best approach that is to reinvent ourselves and to isolate ourselves in such a way to where we get a chance to heal one another. See, we have to get to the apology phase in our black community. You know, like sometimes you find on your show and my show, we oftentimes apologize to the black community for the atrocities that we've committed. So we have to start the healing process by forgiving one another. And in the words of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, rest in peace, who I did her last interview she did was with me on the Carl Nelson show. You know, she has a book called The Motherfucker and the Original Motherfucker. So her philosophy is stop bullshitting one another. Stop playing one another. Stop conning one another. Stop stealing from one another. Stop procrastinating with each other. Stop being argumentative with one another. And then charity begins at home and spreads abroad. So we have to start reinvesting back into the household of the black man. And it doesn't necessarily require a black masculine figure to be there. It just requires some sort of law and order. Because the mindset of our females have been captivated by various components in the world, in the material world. Hair, nails, hookah pipes, you know, BDLs and things of that nature. So the distraction is real. But we have to compete with those who are trying to compete with those who already have attention deficit disorders. So one of the things that we have to do is to put love back in the house. See, one thing I noticed, and it's just me personally, when you look at the situation, like with school shootings, for example, they took prayer out of the school, unfortunately. But when the school gets shot up, again, unfortunately, everybody's out front praying. So we have to reestablish and reinvent ourselves and put the values back into the household that will overtake the unimportant things. You know, the value of getting your kids up on Saturday for school or for karate or whatever it is, Sunday school, you know, cleaning your house. You have to put those morals back into the household because it's a mechanical society we're living in now with an electronic effect. So if you're competing with a group of integrated parts like the computer and other things that are competing for your attention, that takes away from the moral values that we've always utilized in our black communities to make us more fortified and more united.
There are no simple solutions, only intelligent choices. I'm taking a quote from you directly. Yesterday, we all witnessed Charlie Kirk in front of God and thousands of witnesses in Utah, white America, as conservative as it can possibly be, right? At the university, right? He lost his life. He was unalived, right? But Charlie Kirk has been one of those individuals that has spoken that he would take Clarence Thomas over Martin Luther King. And we all know that Clarence Thomas came by the way of Anita Hill. He was accused of being a rapist, and somehow we seem to skip all those different things about Clarence Thomas and what his behavior. But my point is that America created the nigga, his social conditions, his surroundings, and how he behaves within America, because America is the creation of the white man himself. Slavery is white history. How we survived it is black history. What should go moving forward? Because here's the thing, right? And I want to interject this, is that a well-placed pawn can be more powerful than a king. Charlie Kirk is a sacrifice. And what I mean by that, as radical as the country has become now, the people that actually are running it actually will eliminate their own to get anarchy, to get discourse, to prove that maybe they want to see a civil war. I don't know. But I would like to hear your thoughts on it, because I believe that Charlie Kirk was a pawn in the ocean.
Well, here's my take on it. You wouldn't have, when Charlie made that Kirk, Mr. Kirk, rest in peace, I would hate to see anyone lose their
And
life.
he was talking about gangs right before he was assassinated. But go ahead.
Precisely. Well, my advice to him would be, you wouldn't have your choices. There's no simple solutions and intelligent choices, right? As you stated. One of the simple solutions to America's racism was Dr. King. You wouldn't have a Supreme Court justice like Mr. What's the gentleman's name? Clarence Thomas, without the due diligence of the black community and the abolitionists, who are whites and others, that assisted him at bringing equality to America. That's the first thing. Second of all, those are two different tactical frequencies. When you do the comparison or the selection between Dr. King and Mr. Clarence Thomas. Dr. King was a revolutionary on a global scale, whereas Mr. Clarence Thomas is appointed and anointed in such a sense that he represents America's values and what they stand for. So those are two different frequencies. In terms of Mr. Kirk and his ability to articulate what he said the other day about the amount of mass shootings that are in America, and his very last words were saying, and not to include gang violence, well, that was his job as far as life was concerned. Leading up to all that stuff that he talked about, the conservative values that he preached on campus, you know, this is America. And America was built on those very same principles that he discussed, but he concentrated it in such a way to where it became fortified with various people that may or may not like individuals that are not conservative, whether it be race or otherwise. So what you're seeing now is a game of chess being played with all pawns on the table. And Mr. Kirk just happened to be a pawn on the table.
And he just didn't know it.
He did know it. That's the sacrifice that you make. When you're up there in that hierarchy, you have rules and regulations and a destination and an assignment. Down to rappers, they unfortunately lose their life. Some people sell their souls and they know at the end the game is going to send you a bill.
All the time.
So
he did make a point, not to cut you off. He said in order to preserve the right of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, he said there will be some who have to die. And I guess he proved that point yesterday.
He prognosticated his own demise. And he prognosticated and was honestly, he died a truthful man. Because what he was stating unequivocally was that there is a large amount of mass shootings in America. And he did state, from the best of my ability of listening, not to include gang violence. Now, his ideology on gang violence and things of that nature, I can't speak on. But as I stated on Mogul TV, Wild Mogul TV, shout out to Kenta, America will always be a Second Amendment country because America has enemies and they can never be caught off guard. So when you're dealing with a situation like Mr. Kirk, who is just out capitalizing off of the very values that America says they stand on, and it's concentrated by racism and leftist ideologies that may allow you to do some things that you don't normally do. For example, Project 2025, if that is a situation, or the cuts to welfare and jobs and things of that nature. But they have the perfect excuses in order to facilitate their dastardly Dan duties that they're performing right now.
Degeneracy, unscrupulous characteristics, and immorality that seems to be at such a high rate in our community. It is $1 billion corporation, and I think that individuals like Charlie Kirk, even Charleston White, they see that that's why they do what they do, is because of the monetary funding that's associated and attached to coming at specifically black people, because they have somehow made black people the face of criminality, and that's a fact. Although we're a smaller percentage than the overall percentage of people that within this, we're just a microcosm to it, to this, they call it democracy, but I still call it, because Donald Trump just said it's not a Department of Defense, it is the war. He just relabeled it. I don't know how he does these things, but he does. And I'm thinking, when you really listen to what all you gotta do is pay attention to the words. And It's nothing new. He just revealing it now. You know what I mean? It's been that the whole time. He just bold enough to say it, and I appreciate him for that. But many of them say that it's not the Department of Defense, but the Department of War.
Well, the Bible states that open rebuke is better than secret love. And it is best to kill a man than to incarcerate him or enslave him. And when you get a person like Mr. Trump, who's a direct TV type person, it's a matter of semantics with him. That's how he performs his duties. He gets into a conversation that requires a back and forth. I think they call it bantering. And when you get to that level of conversation and you have one that has power and one that don't, then metaphorically speaking, it becomes the David and Goliath scenario, you know, where you have to throw a smooth stone to knock down this giant. The perspective that Mr. Trump have about the Department of War, or things of that nature, white people and others are quite literal. I'm going to say it again. They are very literal, meaning if you say something to them like, hey, man, it's raining outside, man. To you and I, that mean, hey, there's some bread out there. But to them, they're going to look like, hey, Bob, it's not raining. What are you talking about? So when you hear Mr. Trump say things like that, he's really getting to the point of what America is. Look at the meeting with China, North Korea, and Mr. Putin the other day. The last words that Mr. Putin said, that there's a new world order. What Mr. Bush used to preach, a new world order. What we see now is good cop, bad cop, bully and victim. But at the end of the day, the spoils of war is what? The booty, which is the prize. Who has more booty than the black woman? Who promotes and produces more spiritual beings than the black woman, man and woman? So everybody wants to be able to control the slave, because Mr. Putin and all them, China, you have never invaded a country. Mr. Putin, you have never owned a race of people. Mr. North Korea, you have not made enough contributions to the world yet to make yourself superior in terms of your ideologies and your perspective about North Korean people, who, by the way, happen to be of that class of black people. They just in a different region of the world. So Mr. Trump is just living out exactly what America is and cutting out the fat.
Yeah, because marching and advertising don't demonstrate the ability to create and be sufficient and be dogmatic and be psychopathic in war. Marching does not prove that, because America, again, is a war council, and it has always been at war. China, North Korea, they look good marching, but what would they do in a real war? We've never seen them in war.
Okay, stop right there. You've always used that term, niggas is made in America. And you've always expressed to me that if you take the t-shirt tag back on a black man and look, you will see it says, if a nigga, it says made in America. A black man wasn't made in America. A black man was made by God, and he's throughout the world. The black man didn't start in Africa. No one knows where he started. He's the beginning and the end. Before him there was none, and after him there'll be no more.
Yeah, he's a universal time traveler.
He's a universal time traveler, and he is the carrier of life. Mm-hmm. Black man, Chinese woman, black baby. Black man, Mexican woman, el negra, Krista. You're going to get negra. Everything evolves around us. It's another reason why they just don't want us to prosper. See, it's not so much when the police catch you and he's of a different race and he calls you all kinds of names and he hates you and he get to hitting you with that stick in your meat. He doesn't hate you because you're black. He hates you because somewhere in his subliminal mind, he knows that he can be genetically annihilated.
He can only reproduce himself with his woman. You can reproduce. I can reproduce myself within all women.
I can create a race, or we can create a race of people a day if we wanted to, as black men. What we're dealing with now is principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. If you take the label off of Trump, the name, and take the label off of Biden, the name, and take the label off of all these people, and look at their ideologies and what they have in common, is death and destruction. Whether it be Obama, whether it be Kamala, Hillary Clinton calling us predators, Biden didn't want his kids to go to school with black people. Trump father didn't rent to black people. At the end of the day, there's only two entities, good and evil. And you have to choose what side of history you want to be on. So when you see these people performing their duties and then they point the finger, see when you point one finger, the Quran says there's 4 fingers pointing at you. So they get on these stages, these world stages, and they point fingers at one another. But wise people look at them and say, actually, all of y'all are promoting the exact same thing, death and destruction. Just take the label off. They do war. They kill people. The pharmaceutical business now has way too much power. Everything evolves now around mental health when we know it's poverty. Everything evolves around using the term gangs because that's the operative word to put on the check, to get the check stamp.
Gang
everything.
is a shock word.
Yeah, everything. It's a shock word. Everything is gang now. A gang of roses.
Gang.
Gang. You know, Jaduce the Dicks, the
I'm
9
outside
to 4.
with my gang.
Yeah, a gang. The Venezuelan
Dead
gang.
homies.
The dead homies. The live homies. You know, that's why you and I, we put shit on the live homies. Because at least the live homies, I can call Mel a baby gangster with him and say, man, hey, is this true? But you put stuff on the dead homies, there's a spiritual component attached to that. So what you gotta see now is that everybody's trying to tap into mental health and the pharmaceutical industry to keep everyone off balance.
Lock the door.
Perfect grind all the time, baby.
Yeah, Cali Miners, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money, got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the fans get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a bro bitch the time of day.